Nomadic Academy is going to go through a lawsuit. Kids are dying, staff is dying, various chemicals left unsealed, a dog that's supposed to be at home but ain't. Welcome to the third soft introduction episode for Lyoko Weekly. I'm with my bestie, I'm with my sidekick. Today's episode, Holiday in the Fog. How's it so foggy? You know, some people brought up the loud pack. Other people just decided to let the snow in from Arendelle. I am the one that unfortunately set fire to that one random rainforest that lives in France. What's that? There is no rainforest in France? What the hell did I set on fire? Anyway, this episode is basically where the monster of the week is a fog. Nope, there's
you heard it.
There's
you heard that right.
It's a fog. You took some cleaning materials of the liquids, you then dumped them out, they then made a fog.
A fog they call smoke. Throughout the entire episode.
So anyway, you're probably having a lot of questions, and I have the answer. So the episode kicks off where Jeremy's trying to get some street cred by doing some graffiti of Jim with the help of Ulrich. And then Odd's just like, hey, let me just send my dog Kiwi to then wake up Jim so that he can catch you in the act. So you can get some street cred. And then gets the whole punishment to then stay on campus. It's just the dumbest graffiti, where if you guys are watching stuff, look into the playlist that we put in the description below, so you can follow along with us for each episode, for each release. But anyway, it is an ugly ass thing. And then when Jeremy is just like, you are housebound for the entire week of vacation. What vacation? I don't fucking know, man. It's a private school in France. I'm pretty sure you get like 13 different vacations, 47 holidays, and a massage.
Let's also not forget that nobody in France works in the month of August.
Lucky them. Bessie, I know where we need to move.
I guess I don't fucking know. Anywho, so Jeremy's whole punishment is for an entire week, he has to, I guess, scrub the mural off. I mean, that would just take like 2 days. So like 5 days, he could just do whatever the fuck he wants. Because I'm pretty sure he's an honor student. Maybe. I don't know. Like, he's apparently the smartest kid in his class, Herb being the second one, but no one gives a fuck about Herb and his ValkyrieAsh. Anywho, we just gotta focus on him scrubbing down the walls for shit, but he's also talking about his business in public. Why is he talking about his business in public? Because Sissy is trying to stay behind the school because she wants to eavesdrop on the gang, the Lyoko Warriors, as the fandom called them, until it becomes canon seasons later. And she's just like, oh, I hear that you talking about Xana. Who is Xana? Xana your girlfriend? Is that your drug addiction? Who is Xana? Tell me about Xana. I know you scrubbing the wall, but who is Xana? And you just like, bruh, what?
And?
Well, why you in my business? Why you and your big fucking forehead in my business with your canon voice actress? Meanwhile, I'm only on possibly my 1 out of 5 voice actors. Why you in my business? And so we eventually get the entirety of the monster of the week because Xana just apparently has plasmatic arms to knock over some barrels that were not sealed, which in honesty would just be a few different cleaning supplies to make a makeshift thing of mustard gas, if we're going to be honest, from the ammonia and other cleaning supplies that were also in the barrels, because it seems as if there were other chemicals within the area that would have caused a much more deadly toxic fume that would have spread throughout the school, not just be consolidated in one room, but would have just been floating through, whereby morning everyone would have been affected, there would have been no survivors, and Xana realistically should have won. But we're not doing a whole thing of, did Xana actually win? That's a different video, if I feel like it. Joke's on y'all, I never feel like doing videos that take that much effort for a weekly basis. But I digress. So Jeremy's just kind of talking sweet nothings to his computer, you know, before we're in the year of our Lord of 2026 of, I have an AI girlfriend, and I gave her the biggest bazooms and the largest junk trunk, and she get to tell me everything that I ever wanted. He's living the life that many of you guys in 2026 are just saying, that's the saddest thing I've ever seen Jimmy in the basement talk about. Who's Jimmy in the basement? We all know who Jimmy in the basement is. But I digress.
They all have big badamba boobs and big badonkadonks.
So we just have it to where Jeremy, after sneaking out at night, finds out about the smoke, because apparently he out here for the smoke. And Jim is like, hey, the barrels fell over. That ain't suspicious. Take your little ass to bed. I'm gonna call your parents. You've been trying to get street cred all fucking week. You ain't built for this life, Belpois. You ain't part of the streets. I can tell you about the streets, but I ain't gonna tell you about it. So he never gonna tell him about it. But then Jeremy sneaks out probably in the middle of the morning. I'd say, I don't know, 3, 4 in the morning to check out, hey, Xana out here for the schmo. But I'm too much of a pussy to go to Lyoko, so I need to figure out what the fuck's going on. So they just beat the man in the chair. And I'm pretty sure y'all are like, why doesn't Jeremy go to Lyoko? I'm glad you asked. So the smoke is now going through the school and now just trying to go into Sissy's room and then scare her shitless. And then all of a sudden she runs in the gym being scared shitless. And Jim is finally like, oh my god, there's smoke in the school. It's the 60s and 70s all over again. So they had to run because Jim is having flashbacks of when he was a hippie. So now the smoke is now trying to kill Jim and Sissy to have them hide in the closet. Pretty sure R. Kelly is not in the closet this time. We now have Jeremy being like, I need the troops, because I'm too much of a pussy to go to Lyoko. So we have to have Odd leave the airport with Kiwi to then go back to the factory. We have Odd... No, I'm sorry. We have Ulrich at a math tutor situation where me and Kara were looking at this whole math equation and it make no sense. Like, we have 11 over 2 with 17 over the square root of 2, and then we have other formulatic equations underneath to then have additional multiplication tables for college level maths.
Pretty sure they're not at that level.
No.
Even in France when they're middle schoolers?
No, they would
Elementary
be...
students?
They'd be at least calculus if you're pushing it. Calculus or advanced algebra.
I mean, I know America is very, very behind, but that still seems to advance to somebody of their age group.
I mean, just algebra would be for middle school, if not pushing high school if you wanted that mathematical equation. Calculus as the norm in France, but that's beyond calculus. That's going into the physics vectors. And that's going into whole different things of mathematics and sciences smashed together. And people aren't built for that life. So...
Unless you're Jeremy.
I mean, Jeremy's a super genius. We've talked about this before. And then Yumi is just like, hey, we're about to leave for a vacation. But as soon as Jeremy pulls up with a text just like, hey, babe, I need you at the factory, she's out there dipping. So everybody's finally leaving, but Jeremy's just like, ah, shit. I left Jimmy and Sissy. I hope they ain't dead. So now they're running for their lives and hiding in the closet. And then we finally get a small glimpse into Sissy, where, jokes aside about how I'm doing the commentary for this review, but we actually do get that Sissy might be more layered because she's not being the minor antagonist because she hates the group. She wants a sense of belonging with them because she wants friends. But where she is right now is not very conducive because her dad isn't really a parent. He's an enabler to her more narcissistic traits. Rather than allowing her to develop and grow into a better person, he's feeding into her needs to no longer really identify her problems and just pushing her into this negative space as an individual. In doing so, it makes her have a conceited and narcissistic tone that makes her the minor antagonist that we see throughout the show, not because she wants to be, but because the environment and nurture then reflects in her nature. she's her own byproduct of bad parenting from the principal and probably an absent mom, if not a deceased mom, to where no one's really doing anything to reprimand her properly. The only people that are doing it are her peers, but they don't know her actual struggles, and then it's more of a repeating cycle in a much more vicious array. Rather than understanding, it's more vilification. And that leads into other psychological things I could go into, but y'all are not here for that. Y'all just here to make me do all these funny translations to how I saw the episode. So enough about me being real. So now the smoke just got them locked up where Jim's just like, hey, I got it. I'm gonna just put my jacket underneath the door. I've done this before. I've actually done a hotbox. Sissy has no idea what a hotbox is because her big forehead ass has never been in a hotbox before. So Jimmy, aka Jeremy, aka J-Dog, decides to be like, hey, I need to find Sissy and Jim. Hopefully they ain't dead. But he is almost dead because he's breathing in the smoke. But then Yumi and Ulrich are just trying to pull up just like, hey, we gotta cross through here, then go through there. But there's a lot of schmo. Maybe this is a Snoop Dogg concert. It's not a Snoop Dogg concert, but I do hear that J-Dog is up in the smoke dying. So they pull J-Dog out, and then Ulrich's just like, well, shit. Jimmy and Sissy are dead. Well, Jim Jam I could save, but I don't know about Forehead McGee. I'm going to try to save Jim Jam. He tries to save Jim Jam while Yumi decides to take her second boyfriend back to the factory. Who's her first? So they get back to the factory, and now we finally get to have the whole big thing where in the whole regular drama side of stuff, Ulrich almost dies trying to get to Jimmy Jam, the Jamster, and Big Forehead Bitch in the closet, where they almost die from smoke inhalation and oxygen deprivation because no ventilation in the closet, which is yet another violation. This school's gonna have so many lawsuits. So many people are gonna walk out as millionaires from working here and having no good conditions to work in. This is a terrible school. Where if they didn't stop the tower in time, if they just went on for a few more seconds, they would all have been dead. I am not even kidding. They all would have been fucking dead.
It's true. It's true.
But that's just, the drama of the schmo. What about Lyoko? Well, that's where my bestie and my sidekick come into play to talk about that shit right now.
So, they arrive in the forest sector. Yes, a different section of Lyoko. Remember, last time, they were in the desert. Now they're in the forest. How many sections are in Lyoko? I guess we'll find out later. That's not our current problem at the moment. So, they meet up with Aelita, and, Aelita's like, I haven't seen any monsters. Odd. You weren't looking hard enough. And here comes a few cankerlets that look like fucking crabs that aren't crabs. It still doesn't make sense. Xana, why? Just
Everything is a crab. Anyway.
I wouldn't say everything. It's enough. So, at that current state, both Yumi and Odd were in Lyoko. They would try to fight these cankerlets, which, at some point, Yumi gets devirtualized being hit. After using an ability that we still don't know why she has it, is telekinesis. Make it make sense. But anyway, she smashed one of the cankerlets with it and then tried to hit the other with her fan, which she failed and got devirtualized. So that leaves Odd to protect Aelita from the very last cankerlet, which he did. And then, you guys, it's just the same thing. Aelita goes across, she goes in, and she, shuts down the tower from Xana to reactivate it for Lyoko.
And then we just kind of end the episode where they do the graffiti, but now Ulrich's like, hey, can I just stick with you? I don't want to go take that bullshit math tutoring session. My brain still hurt. How we do that whole thing to lead into 18 other equations? I'm not an engineer. I don't even know physics like that. I need help. So we then kind of just end with the principal's voice actor dubbing over Jim. I think because the studio was like, "Hey, we've got to record the line again." So who's in the studio? You, can you do the whole thing? If you really listen to the audio, just really listen for a few seconds and you'll hear that it's the fucking principal's voice actor dubbing over Jim. And that's how we end the episode. I got nothing. This episode, I got nothing. Is it bad? It's not really. It's just not good either. It's
That's what it is.
So the thing that doesn't make sense, okay, make this make sense. So we remember that Sissy was running in the hallway barefooted, right? No shoes, no nothing.
How did she say?
Did you ever? That's what I'm saying.
Wait, how did she end up with shoes?
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, I'm more just like, okay, so Jeremy was on dorm arrest, and Jim was like, "I'll be back in the morning." We've seen in later episodes and future seasons that he is an early riser because of certain things in his backstory. That is very expansive. But Jeremy beats him to the punch to leave out when he's also canonically the slowest person in his friend group and skips out on gym class all the time. So, how he get to the factory so fast?
I don't know. This is what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of like plot hole.
And then just the last big one of, we've talked about how Xana's in their infancy state from how they've been sprung to being. They shouldn't have enough strength to possess a fucking plush teddy bear to then expand its size. It trying to then use the pylons, that's at least something that makes sense. But how did they knock over some cleaning supplies, form it into vaporous smoke, and then weaponize the smoke? I'm so confused on the power scale for Xana, because that's an artificial intelligence. So what the fuck is happening?
That's what I'm saying. Like, make this make sense. Like,
Guys,
his creatures shouldn't be like what they are. Like, if you're gonna give them certain names, at least make them to the shape that they should be. You know what I mean? But the other thing is like, Dana, like, how are you doing this? Like, in actuality.
guys, I figured it out.
What you figure out, Kara?
He's a techno lich.
The fuck you just say?
He's a techno lich.
Kara, did you get my special stash again?
Listen here. Nothing is safe. Nothing is hidden from me naturally. I am the danger lurking in shadows.
But even still, about this episode, again, season 1 is a bit rough, where we don't really get to the good bits until, I don't know, like, I would say maybe episode 10, episode 11, because then it starts to really take off a bit better, all the way to then leading into Code Earth, which is like episode 25, the end of season 1. So 25 episodes, it doesn't really end up itself get better until, I don't know, episode 10, episode 11, in my opinion. But that's just me putting my own 2 cents. But my bestie here, being a fan of the franchise in a bigger way than I am, when would you say the show gets better in its overall viewing?
Good question. I mean, me personally, season 1 was definitely a very much, slow burn. I'm trying to think what would be the best episode that it gets, to the best part. And I think that probably would get into roughly around episode 10, roughly, in my opinion. I feel like that's when things start to pick up for me personally.
I could see that. I could definitely see that. But yeah, guys, that's just the whole kit and caboodle. Where we'll be back with all of this in about 3 weeks, where we're finally gonna be doing everything in its entirety. We're gonna pick up things with episode 4, which is Logbook. I think Logbook is the one about the bus. I think.
So I think the logbook.
I'm pretty sure it's the bus one.
Speed.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
it was the bus one. Yeah.
It is the bus one. But until
It's
then,
also the one it's also the episode where Sissy stole Ulrich's journal.
oh yeah, damn.
Logbook. Now it makes sense.
Yeah.
But we'll get to all that stuff in about the what do you mean journal? What's the plot line? Well, if y'all don't remember that, y'all gonna be in for a treat. Where until then, if you're gonna be doing graffiti, make sure it's good. But also, if you're gonna be hotboxing, make sure the smoke is on the inside, not the outside.
And isn't deadly.
That too.
That too indeed. That too indeed.